Hello, I'm Jennifer Lively with CCPL's Tech Team, and today I'm going to talk about Microsoft Office's online apps. So many of you are probably familiar with Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, which are paid programs that you would have to purchase to have on your computer. And there's even a subscription plan that you can choose as well. But many do not realize that there are online options that are available to us for free. So you can simply log in with a free Outlook account, and you'd be able to have access to many of the same features that you would have if you had paid for those services. So for the next several minutes, I'm going to walk you through some of the great advantages of using Microsoft's online apps for Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, especially the option that you have to save items to the cloud for access anywhere, and also the ability to share those files with other people so that you can collaborate with them remotely. So you can have great, easy access to those and even share those with friends and family and coworkers. So join me as we take a look at these services, and I hope you'll learn a lot of new and exciting things that can help you more productive at home and at work. All right, let's get started. So I've opened the browser. You'll see that we're just at a Google general search page here, but I'm going to start by going to Outlook.com. Now, Outlook is the free email service provided by Microsoft, much like people may choose to have a Gmail account for Google service, or some have Yahoo. So Outlook is free. You can go there, and as I press enter, you'll see that there's going to be the option to create an account or to sign in. And so there's the free account option at the bottom. So we're going to choose sign in. And I have a free training account here that I'll be using just to show you some examples today. So I'll sign in with that email address, and I'll enter the password. I'm not going to have Google remember that password for now. So that opens to a very clean inbox, but that's not the main point of what we're going to talk about today. In fact, we're going to change to one of Office 365's other options here, and you'll see the different apps along that blue bar on the left. There's a little app launcher there. So if I click, I have a choice to go into OneDrive. So OneDrive is where it all starts. You can think of that as sort of the holding place for anything that you might be creating here with your online apps. So if I choose OneDrive, it's going to take the place of Outlook for now on that tab, and it's slowly loading to reveal a page where my files would be held. Again, these are any files that are here stored in the cloud, anything that you may have created through your online apps. But we haven't really created much just yet. It's got some folders there ready to hold that work, but we need to create something new. So first I want to show you sort of the counterpart to your installed version of Microsoft Word, which would be the Word Online app. We'll go here to New and click on the down arrow option, and here you'll see Word Document. So if we click there, again, it's loading a new tab. Always important to see how the tab structure is set up at the top. And what you're seeing very much looks like a sheet of paper. It's just about ready for us to type on. But because we are dependent on the web and on the steadiness of that connection, it may take just a little bit longer for certain things to load. So you'll see that that's finally popped in there at the top. So we have a toolbar there, sort of a ribbon, very much like what you would have with the installed version of Word, and also a toolbar of some shortcuts as well. So we're on the Home tab right now, and you'll see some common things like fonts and font sizes. Again, just showing you that there are some very common features here that shouldn't be a surprise to you if you've used Word at all before. So let's say that we're going to create a schedule for our place of work. I'm going to get started by simply typing schedule as a heading. I'm going to press enter and type Monday. Backspace works just the same, thank goodness. From 8 to 5, Tuesday from 10 to 7, Wednesday from 8 to 5, Thursday from 12 to 9, And we're just going to move to Saturday, we'll say from 7 to 4. Okay, so obviously there's some more that needs to be filled in here, and that's going to come into play as we share a document in a little bit and have the ability to collaborate on this together. But for now, just looking at it as text on the page, there are some things that you can do to dress it up a little bit, to format it. I can highlight the word schedule, for instance. And as we saw the fonts here at the top, when we click on the down arrow there and wait for those different font themes to load, you can see a list of fonts. Those should look pretty familiar to you if you have used Word at all in the past. You may see a few new ones that are available just online. So if we want to say that this font is going to be Trebuchet in S, we'll click there. And we're also going to make it a little bit larger. So we'll say that should be size 14. We're also going to find the B for bold, and we're going to find the underline, and so we've made some simple changes there. As for the other text, I can go and highlight that as well. Instead of using the drop down arrow there to change the font size, I have a grow font size icon here that I find really helpful, and if I click there, you'll see that the new font size has gone up a bit. Should now be considered 12, I believe. And we can also come over here and maybe add some bullets. I don't know that I would normally do that, but I want to show you some of these features. So if we click on the bullets icon, we'll see how that changes. We can also click on the down arrow and see that we have access to other bullets and even some little emojis there. So I'm going to choose a different bullet for the sake of mixing it up. You can also change the line spacing. It's always important to know what your line spacing is going to be like. And so you can make changes like that too. That command is hidden from us right now though, but we have the 3 dots here saying more options. So if we click there, you can see line spacing, and I could say maybe I want it to be more like a double spaced to have a little more room there on the page. Okay, and I can click away to remove my highlighting. All right. Now, of course, you can play with color and things like that as well. I'll come back up to schedule and highlight that. And let's just take a look at the font color. Again, there's a down arrow to the right. If we click there, we'll see the colors available to us. They've really expanded these through the years, so we have a lot more options now. And we can make it maybe a bright blue. Set that title apart. So again, you won't find every command that you're used to along that home tab, along the toolbar that you see, but you'll see a lot of really common ones. And again, remember the benefit is that this is all for free. Other tabs you'll see, I'm just going to go through some of those quickly. Insert, you could add tables and pictures and comments, headers and footers, anything like that, especially if you were using this to write a paper or something that needed to be turned in. You may have to put page numbers on a footer or something like that. You have access to all of those things. We can go to layout, and that's where you'd be able to adjust your margins. You can see that those default margins are there, and you can make it narrow at 1/2 inch, whatever you need to do. Orientation here to switch to landscape. If you had other paper sizes available, you could change that as well. So you have great options there with layout. There's even a references tab, back to when I was talking about maybe writing a paper to turn in. This would be helpful for your footnotes or endnotes, or even creating a table of contents. You can do some things there too. Review is going to have all the great things there, like checking your spelling and maybe looking up the thesaurus to have some other options there for words. You'll see all of those choices across the top. And in the View tab, we can change how we're seeing this on our screen. If we needed to zoom in particular, that's helpful to be able to make those changes. I'm going to go back to the Home tab, and let's talk a little bit about saving, okay? Remember, we're doing all of this online, and it's saving automatically to our files in OneDrive, not to the local computer itself. So if you look at the top, you'll see that it says Document 1 is saved to OneDrive. So just to confirm that it's there. Now if I click there, it does give me the option to give it maybe a better name than Document 1. So we can call this Weekly Schedule. Right, and it would have the extension .docx because it is going to be reading it like a Word file. Location there is OneDrive. If I had a specific folder I wanted to put it in, I could click there and decide that. I'm going to press enter and seal that in, and now you can see it there at the top. Okay? Now that being said, if there comes a time where you need to email this to someone or you need to have a different copy maybe saved to your computer, if you go to File, you will see the option to Save As. And it's going to let you download a copy to your computer. Now once you do that, the changes you make, it's a whole separate file. It's not going to automatically make those changes in OneDrive as well. So it is important to realize you would be creating a copy, a separate second copy on your computer if you do that. But you can if you need to. You also have printing options, so you could print the document from that file menu as well. I'm going to go back for now, back to our schedule, and let's talk about that other great benefit, which is online collaboration with someone else if you share this document. So I'm trying to create a schedule here, but I need to know other people's availability for these different times that we need to fill. So here toward the top there is share. I'm going to click there. So now we can see that anyone with the link can edit. So whoever's email address I enter here, they would have a link and it would be emailed to them. They'd have access to click on that and be able to make some changes. That's how it's set right now. If I needed to, I could click here and say no, they can only view it. So maybe if it's the final schedule and you just want to make sure people can see how they're slated to work, you could uncheck that box and only allow viewing privileges. We'll need to keep it checked though so we can have some input from others. So we'll choose apply there. Now the email address, this is another training account we'll use, will be entered next. And it does need to be an Outlook account in order for them to be able to make changes. So Outlook would need to be able to recognize them as a user. So we have that in. We're going to click on it to confirm. And I could even add a message here, although it says it is optional. So I could say, please add your availability next to each day. Right? Now before I send this, also notice the option to copy a link. Here we go. You would copy it and you'd be able to just paste it into an email address that you're sending. So I am going to go back to this original choice. All right, it's got our recipient in there, and I'm going to choose send. So that link has been sent. Now take a look back up at the top where it says My Files. I'm going to click on OneDrive. As I scroll down, notice that there is one called Weekly Schedule. It was saved 4 minutes ago. And so that is our file that we have. From this view, we have some different choices to go ahead and mention quickly here. At the top, you'll see that we are currently in more of a grid view or gallery view. If we switch, we click there, or they call it tiles, we could switch to a list view, which might be more helpful. You see everything in a list. And I also like this view because it easily shows you that Weekly Schedule is a shared document. So you can see that that has been shared with other people. That's also how you can click on that little menu here, and you can go in and even view the version history as changes are made. You can move it around some, you can delete the file, you can download it, you can see all those choices. And if you need to change who is seeing it, who it's shared with, simply click on Shared, and we can see another account here. We can see their privileges. We can also click and say Stop Sharing, and then they wouldn't have access to that file anymore. Okay, so back to this file. I'm going to close our confirmation. That account received a message that they had a file shared with them, and they would see that in their shared documents, just like you can see back here. There is a shared folder. Here's shared by me. We don't have any shared with me just yet. We do have shared by me. I'll go back to my files so that won't confuse you too much. I'll go back to Weekly Schedule there. But the same thing has happened for that account that the file was shared with. Now when they click on Shared after receiving an email and knowing that they have it, they can see that file, can open that file once they've signed into their account. I'm going to be playing both roles here. notice that the other account, as they click, you can see where that mouse is, okay? So the CL you see on the screen represents where that shared account is actually clicked and working right now, so that you maybe wouldn't type on top of each other's work. You'd be able to kind of really collaborate. So if this account can work from 10 to 7 and they want to claim it, they can say David. Or if they want to come down here and claim that spot, we'll say David is saying that he can work there as well. Okay, so he is collaborating. Now all these accounts are called Charleston Library, so it does get a little confusing. Imagine if that really did say David Smith, and you could really tell who was who a little bit better. But also across the top, just kind of note that it does show you that there's someone else on this document right now. Of course, that's going to be really helpful as you're sharing and working and collaborating with these documents with other people on these documents. So we'll see it there, which is a really cool feature. Now those changes are saved automatically. We never have to go in and say File, Save, or Save As, none of that. You just have it, you have that confidence that it is saving to your OneDrive account and that you'd be able to access that and see those changes at any time. Now you may not get an alert that David has changed your document, but you certainly can. When you go in there, you would be able to see the changes that have been made. So it's really, really helpful. Okay, so that's a little bit about using the features of Microsoft Word, not only to create a document and maybe edit that document, but also to share it with someone else for real-time collaboration in the cloud. So next we're going to take a peek at how we can do something very similar with Excel and with PowerPoint. So to start a new project, we would go back to the My Files tab where we see the New button, just like where we started. So if I click there, I can go ahead and say Excel Workbook. So we'll click there and you'll see that a new Book 1 is loading here on the page. Again, remember we're working through the web, and so it's going to be a little more delayed than what you're used to maybe in working in the installed version of Excel. But here it is. We have a worksheet. We can see our lettered columns and our numbered rows. We have a lot of the same functionality as we would if we were with the installed version. You can see here they're even trying to give you a few little tips about some new features and some easy things that you can do. I'm going to close those just for now. So if we were, let's say, planning a trip, we wanted to say event and cost. We're going to go ahead and get started typing here along that first row. So the event might be something like an excursion or a part of that trip. Let's say that we're going to visit a museum. And to get into that museum, there is a cost, let's say, of $35. Okay. Let's also say another day we're going to go to a gallery, and the cost to get in there is $20. All right, we'll just do one more quickly here, Sunset Cruise. So we'll have a cost for that too. We're going to say that one is $72. Now, as I've been typing, I've just simply clicked to get started. Remember that you can press the Tab key to move to the right, the Enter key to move down, just like you would in so-called regular Excel. Some other changes we can make here as far as formatting goes, just for the sake of comparison, you could highlight your two little headings there. Maybe we want to make those bold, maybe a little bit bigger. We've got the B for bold. We've got our drop down menu for the font size. We'll make it 12. We could also come here to the alignment icon, click there, and we can choose that we want to have those centered from left to right. And so that's taken care of as far as our headings go, but you can see some of our items in column A don't quite fit. So as you point between column headings A and B, you can always click and drag, and then you can choose the width that you'd like, or you can come back between the two. Could have done this from the very beginning, and we could simply double click, and it will choose a width based on that longest entry. Okay, if we wanted this to look like money, we can click and drag over those different amounts. So we have a general formatting drop-down menu here. If we click, we'll see the option for number, for currency, for accounting, and accounting is the one that we typically use in Excel as a general amount sort of formatting. Now I also want to see what my totals are, and so if I click at the bottom there, I want to be able to do a simple formula. So it does recognize a lot of more complicated formulas as well, but we often use our auto sum. So I'll just point quickly here to auto sum. You'll see the same icon, the same representation there. If I click once, it is going to first let me just see the range that it's trying to add together. And if I want to agree with that, I can simply press enter, and I can see that we are at $127. Now, in no way am I trying to teach you Excel here, but I am just trying to bring your attention to some of the common features there on the Home tab that you would use. We haven't even talked about copy and paste, but those are features as well that you'll see here. We have Format Painter, things like that that I know I use all the time and that you are likely to find really handy as well. So we have other tabs just like we did in Word. There's Insert, where we can even have pivot tables and other functions. You can even add charts. I mentioned briefly when we were looking at Word that they continue to add features here, and it makes it more and more like the installed version. And so at one point, at some day down the line, I don't know that we'll be able to tell a difference, honestly. So a lot of great things that you can do here in the online app. There is a Formulas tab. You can do some different things here and some calculation options. There is Data. If I wanted these different events to be in alphabetical order, I could click on any one of those and simply choose A to Z for a quick format. And now we see Gallery, Museum, and Sunset Cruise. No need to highlight there, just click on what you wish to sort by. So any item there in column A for us. Other features, really helpful things are there too. We have the Review tab, the View tab, and there is a Help option as well. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned and we didn't talk about in Word is the ability to open it in the desktop app. And so if I want to actually use so-called real Excel to make a change, I could simply do that as long as you have the software on your computer. It is going to ask you to confirm that you wish to do that, because if this had been a shared file, there could be some dangers there if you weren't really sure who had sent that to you. But we're going to choose Open Excel. It's going to ask me to sign in to confirm that I have access to this particular workbook. And once that's confirmed, I have now Excel open on the computer. So I can tell here on the taskbar that it is the Excel icon. It's the program Excel, the desktop app, and not the online app. And so if I needed more of the features provided by Excel, I could do that. Now still notice here in the top left corner, the save icon has a little sync icon right there on top of it. So as you save, you are saving back to OneDrive. It's going to be all part of that same online file. So it's not saving directly to the computer, even though you're editing it from the computer software. I know that can get a little confusing, but remember where the original file came from. And then if you were to make a change, so if I highlight this and choose a new color, make it green, then if I save it and then close it, I can resume editing in the online app, and you'll see that the change has been made. Okay, so some of the things to know about working in Excel, that also applies to the other apps as well. Now we won't share this workbook, but we could come right up here to share, and it would work just like it did when we saw that in Word. A little bit of a change here when we come over to File though, where you can download a copy if you go to Save As. That's not any different. But if you do come down here, notice that you have the option for printing that includes how to actually print this workbook. So you know it's a little different than what you see is what you get in Microsoft Word. Here you might want to choose if you're printing the active sheet or the entire workbook or just a selection. So you can start making some choices here before you actually print. I'm going to close that for now. Okay. Now this has not been named, although it has been saved. So it is called right now Book 1, saved to OneDrive. And again, if I click, we can call this our Event Expenses press enter, and now that name is a little more representative, and I can go back to our very first tab. We're in that list view. We see event expenses is already saved there. It is a private, unshared file just for me, saved in OneDrive. Okay. Now quickly we'll look at PowerPoint as well. Again, just trying to introduce you to these options, not go into a lot of detail with them, but we'll go to New and we'll choose PowerPoint Presentation. So as PowerPoint loads, we'll see our ribbon at the top with our home and insert, those different tabs that we see there. Again, they're trying to show us some great little tips for using this, but I'm going to close that for now. There's a designer popping up on the right, trying to get us started with creating a really exciting slideshow. I'm going to start more with a blank show. So let's say that we're going to add some photographs for the garden club of some popular flowering plants of South Carolina. Okay, I can adjust the size of this text box if I wanted that to fit on 2 lines there with South Carolina sharing a line. As I click and drag the edge of the box, you can see that it's helping me center it. And I won't go into a lot of detail there, but now it's picking up on what we're doing, so the designer is even more exciting there and trying to show you some really cool options. We'll leave that pretty simple for now, and we're going to go ahead up here and choose New Slide. This one's going to include a picture. We'll say that this one is indeed going to be title and content. We'll add that slide. Okay, and here I can say azaleas. And then I can come down to my different types of content at the bottom. If you click in the box, it is going to expect you to type. But before I had clicked, you can see these different icons here. And the one in the bottom left represents a picture that you might have saved on your computer. So if I click, it'll let me choose files. I can go through to our pictures, and we do have a flowers folder, and we happen to have an azalea. So I'll insert there. Of course, just like in PowerPoint, you can drag those corner handles to resize. You can use that guide to center it. We do have a contextual tab at the top now for a picture, where I can make some changes to how the picture looks. Or this is where the designer really shines, and you can say, oh, I'd like it to look like this. And it'll do a lot of the work for you. Isn't that exciting? So we could go on and make other slides same way. Again, just trying to show you that you do have a very similar ribbon here in the online version of PowerPoint. You can insert and modify objects. If the picture is selected, we can even go into animations and choose how that is going to appear. We want to do a little bit of, add a little more excitement to our slide. When it comes time to show the slideshow, you can go to that tab and say from beginning or from current slide, all sorts of things to get to know about the PowerPoint app. And don't forget about sharing. So if you wanted to work on a PowerPoint with a coworker or someone else in class, you could go to share, and y'all could in real time work on a PowerPoint together. Just have to decide who gets to decide what designer element you get to use there. You can even comment back and forth. So as you're collaborating, if you wanted to add comments, you can do that as well and have those noted there on the slide. And there are also some options for how to present. Play from beginning, and there's some rehearsal options too. Okay, so we'll leave it just the way it is. If we wanted to save it, remember we could come right up here and make those changes, but we won't do much else with our PowerPoint show for now. We can always go back to My Files to get a little glimpse of what we've been able to do in these last few minutes. Again, we have our weekly schedule made with the Word app. We have our presentation 1 just above it there in alphabetical order. That's the unfinished PowerPoint presentation. And we have event expenses also saved. And so from any computer, as long as you're signed into that Outlook account, which gives you access to that OneDrive account, then you're able to access any of those files and make changes or share them with others. Well, there you go. I hope you found that helpful. Remember that you can contact the Tech Team anytime by emailing techteam@ccpl.org or by giving us a call at 843-805-6885. We'd be happy to help you with any of your technology needs. See you next time.